friends, hello and welcome to my channel. And if it's your first time to come to this channel, I will encourage you to subscribe so that you don't lose on any of our updates, and I also encourage you to go a little bit down on our videos and watch them. We have a very beautiful content that I don't. Hello and welcome to my channel, Inclusion with Shirley En. My name is Shirley En, your inclusionist, your inclusion consultant, and the principal consultant at Thaboshi Inclusive. We are a general consultancy company on inclusion. We are based in Botswana, the most peaceful country in the whole world. We are based, Botswana is in Southern Africa for your own information. And it's a very rich country in terms of flora and fauna. And we are also well known for our beautiful and peaceful dimension. We are based in Botswana, the most peaceful country in the whole world. We are based, Botswana is in Southern Africa for your own information. And it's a very rich country in terms of flora and fauna. And we are also well known for our beautiful and peaceful dimension. We are based in Botswana, the most peaceful country in the whole world. We are based, Botswana is in Southern Africa for your own information. And it's a very wanted to miss. In this video today, we are going to look at the difference between special educationist, counselor, and a psychologist. Often at times there are conflicts, especially in schools, concerning the roles and responsibilities of these very important professionals. And so I did this video to try and make a distinction between the three, so that especially if you are a school operator, you are a parent, or you are a researcher, you are a student in these fields, you know exactly where they differ and where they are the same. And this video would be very important to school operators who want to include people, or especially students with special needs in their schools, and they don't know whether they should hire a special educationist, whether they should hire a guidance and counselor, or they should hire a psychologist. It will help them a lot. Even parents, sometimes I find or I meet parents who are torn in between these three, because they don't know exactly whom they should look for in terms of finding help for their children. Hello and welcome, and thank you very much for stopping by to watch this video. I hope it will help you a lot. Yes, without much further ado, let's get straight to the gist of the matter. The difference between special educationist, guidance and counseling, and a psychologist. First of all, I just want to start by looking at what these professionals basically deal with. Okay, special educationist is basically an education professional or a teacher who specializes in students with special needs. He could be specializing in some countries they do general special education, but in some, like in Botswana, you specialize in a particular special need, like hearing impairment and deafness, or you could be looking at visual impairment, you could be looking at learning disabilities, and then you could also be learning at mental retardation and all that. So a special educationist is more of a teacher who specializes in teaching students with special needs. That is one. And then guidance and counseling teacher or specialist is someone who has been trained to give guidance and counseling. So this one is a helping professional. Yes, he is a helping professional, somebody who counsels or who coaches students let's say in a school setting, students on how they can go about life issues. So this is a guidance and counseling specialist. And then a psychologist is someone who has been trained or who has trained, is a mental professional, let me say. A psychologist is a mental professional, and his or her role is mainly to assess mental stability of people, and can also go to an extent of assessing, and also going to an extent of giving intervention such as counseling. So these are the areas. Special educationist, her main role is to teach students with special needs. Guidance and counseling, his or her main role is to help learners or students overcome their challenges. And then a psychologist, his main or her main role is to look at the mental challenges or the mental capabilities of people, and to assess situation from the mental perspective, and also give interventions looking at the mental issues. So he's more of a mental professional. Now, let's take in a school setting, for instance. You could have a school where you have a special educationist, you have a guidance and counseling specialist, and you also have a psychologist. So let's look at the roles of each and every one of them in such a setup. In a setup where you have all these people, then we could say that a psychologist, his or her main role is to assess students, their intellectual abilities or their mental abilities, and then make recommendations for guidance and also for counseling, for guidance as well as for education or for learning. So that would be the psychologist. His main job would be to assess students and then make recommendations on how those students should be assisted. And then the special education teacher would go and implement that which has been recommended by the psychologist. He or she would then implement what has been recommended by the psychologist. And then the guidance and counseling specialist then will also give helping or guidance or mentoring or coaching, and as far as the assessments report say. So you can see that in that way, these people are taking their roles quite clear. This one assesses and recommends. This one, and this is assessment. It is quite broad. It involves tests. It involves a lot of research to be done, and it involves a lot of working with the client quite interactively. And then the special education teacher takes the assessment and he or she implements them. And then the guidance and counseling teacher or specialist, he assists students in terms of their challenges, everyday challenges, social challenges, the welfare issues, the emotional challenges, and all that, such that the learner can be able to learn effectively. Now, let's look at where these professions interact. I, for one, did special education. I trained in special education, and all along I have been working as a SENCO. SENCO is Special Education Needs Coordinator. And really, that is the most common name. But in my case, I was coordinating inclusive education program. So I was a program coordinator for inclusive education in a mainstream secondary school. I was working in a school which is a mainstream, and I was coordinating all activities to do with inclusive education. So my role was to find or to make sure or to ensure that students with disabilities, they get the right interventions. First of all, they are assessed or they are identified, and then they are assessed and they get the right interventions. So that was my role as SNCO. And that is what a special education specialist can do. If he is not, apart from teaching, a special educationist also make sure that students with special needs, especially if he or she is a coordinator, his job is to find or to ensure that students with special needs receive the right education, receive equal opportunities, and so that he or she can be able to thrive as much as other students or as much as other learners. So that is the role of special educationist. He or she can teach, but because you can't teach what you don't understand, special education can go to as far as counseling families of students with special needs, as well as counseling the students with special needs, because he or she understands fully their challenges, everything to do with their disability or their condition, and then he or she can also work in terms of interventions that needs to be placed, and as well as identification of those students. So that is the role of special educationist. And then guidance and counseling, like I have already alluded, his or her role is to give guidance. Then when we unpack that word, we can say he gives information that a person can use in terms of making decisions and taking the right steps in his or her life. So he gives guidance, or he coaches and mentors learners so that they can be able to overcome their problems. There are problems that can make their learning difficult, or that can impact on their learning, even if those students are not necessarily students with special needs, just students in general. Those students who are coming, maybe they on their daily everyday challenges. This guidance and counseling specialist, his or her role is to counsel or to mentor and coach students on how to deal with their everyday challenges. And then the psychologist, his or her job is to provide guidance in terms of mental issues. And in schools, mostly they are involved in assessments of learners, especially as teachers refer them, where teachers suspect that this child is not able to thrive. He could be having challenges beyond, I've tried this and that, and I still feel like this child has got some special problem, and he or she would refer the child to the psychologist, who would look more into the situation and make a recommendation on how this particular student or child or learner can be assisted. So the main role of the psychologist is to do those assessments and be able to advise on how a learner can be assisted. So I think and I hope with this video, the roles of special educationist, guidance and counseling specialist, and a psychologist, especially within the mainstream school, or especially within a school, are cleared. Thank you very much for watching this video, and tell others about us. Share the message, share our content.